Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something I think we all do pretty frequently. That's online shopping.
Yeah,
But we're not going to be looking for deals or, the latest gadget or anything like that.
right.
We're going to get into a really surprisingly complex area, which is product returns,
Yeah.
and how this concept called green nudging might be a way to make e-commerce a little bit more sustainable.
It's really fascinating because, we often focus on making the products themselves eco-friendly, but, the journey that they take,
Yeah.
including those, return trips, if you will,
Right.
has a huge impact.
Yeah, absolutely. The sources for this deep dive are a couple of research papers that are very, very recent on this very topic.
Okay.
And I got to say, the findings were pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
They're talking about potential cost savings for retailers, big reductions in CO2 emissions,
Wow.
and even a boost in profits, all thanks to this kind of subtle approach to changing behavior.
Yeah, it's amazing. The sheer volume of returns, especially in online fashion retail, is staggering.
Yeah.
You might be surprised to learn that return rates can reach up to 50%.
50%. That's like flipping a coin to see if something gets sent back.
Hmm.
I knew returns were common, but I had no idea it was that high.
Yeah.
What kind of impact does that have on businesses?
Well, think about it. Retailers need to set up these entire systems to handle all those returns.
Right.
Return centers, processing returned items, shipping them back and forth.
Right.
It's a massive financial burden.
Yeah, and not to mention just the environmental cost.
Exactly.
All that transportation back and forth
Right.
can't be good
That's
for
it.
our carbon footprint.
You're absolutely right. And in fact, the research we're looking at found that in 2022 alone, return transportation in the U.S. generated a whopping 24 million metric tons of CO2 emissions.
Wow.
That's not even counting the wasted resources if a returned product can't be resold and ends up in a landfill.
Yeah, sounds like a system that needs a serious rethink. So where does this green nudging come in?
Right.
Is it like some kind of mind control
That's not-
to stop us from returning things?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's much more subtle than that.
Okay.
Green nudging is about providing these gentle reminders at key points in the shopping journey. It is, and it seems to work.
Okay.
The researchers partnered with a major European fashion retailer and conducted a large-scale field experiment involving over 117,000 participants.
Wow.
They tested two types of green nudges,
Okay.
one displayed in the shopping cart, as we just discussed,
Right.
and another one shown after the purchase was confirmed.
Those are some impressive numbers.
Okay,
Give us the result. Did it actually work? Did they manage to reduce returns?
the short answer is yes.
Okay.
They found that incorporating these green nudges led to a 2.6% decrease in product returns.
2.6%. At first glance, that might not seem like a huge number, but we're talking about a massive retailer here, right?
Right.
What does that actually translate to in real-world terms?
You're thinking like a true deep diver. That 2.6% reduction amounted to roughly $340,000 in annual savings for the retailer.
Wow.
Even more impressively, their profits increased by 8.7%.
Right. So they save money, Andy, make more money just
Yeah.
by adding a simple message.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. What about the impact on the environment?
The environmental impact is equally significant.
Okay.
If we were to apply that 2.6% reduction across the entire U.S. fashion industry, the potential savings could reach a staggering $650 million.
Wow.
And we're talking about a huge reduction in CO2 emissions, an estimated 624,000 metric tons less CO2 released into the atmosphere.
Wow. To put that into perspective, that's like taking over 121,000 cars off the road for a year.
Yeah.
All of that from a simple message about returns, that's pretty mind-blowing.
It's a testament to the power of thoughtful design and a deeper understanding of human behavior.
Yeah.
However, as with most things, there's a bit more to the story.
I was just about to say, it can't be all sunshine and rainbows, right? There has to be a catch somewhere.
You're right. It turns out that this green nudge didn't work equally well for everyone.
Okay.
The researchers discovered what they called treatment heterogeneities.
Okay.
In simpler terms, the nudge actually backfired for some shoppers.
Hold up, Guy Fawkes. You mean some people were actually more likely to return items after seeing the green nudge?
That's exactly what the research found. While the nudge was effective overall,
Right.
for about 40% of the participants,
Okay.
it actually had the opposite effect.
Wow, that's pretty surprising. Do we have any idea, WHY, the nudge had this opposite effect on some people?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
To try to understand this, the researchers turned to something called causal machine learning.
Causal machine learning.
Right.
That sounds intense. Can you break it down for us?
Think of it like a detective tool that helps us understand the why behind human behavior.
Okay.
In this case, the researchers use this tool to analyze tons of data points,
Oh,
like
shit.
the contents of someone's shopping cart, their location, even the internet browser they use.
Wait, so they can potentially figure out if I'm more likely to return something just by knowing what internet browser I use. That's kind of wild.
It might sound strange, but those seemingly insignificant details can actually reveal a lot about our shopping habits and preferences. By feeding all this information into their machine learning model, the researchers were able to predict, with surprising accuracy, who would be most likely to respond positively to the green nudge.
So they essentially created a green nudge compatibility test based on all this data.
Right.
What did they find? Were there any common factors among the people who didn't respond well to the nudge?
They did, and the findings were fascinating.
Okay.
For about 60% of the customers, the nudge worked just as intended,
Okay.
leading to fewer returns.
Right.
But for that remaining 40%,
Yeah.
it seemed to have the opposite effect, actually increasing their likelihood of returning items.
It's like the nudge inadvertently gave them the idea to return something they might not have otherwise considered. Did the research shed any light on why this might happen?
The research does offer some intriguing insights. For instance, they found that people using the Safari web browser were more likely to be positively influenced by the green nudge. It's possible that this is because Safari is associated with Apple products. And Apple users on average tend to be more environmentally conscious.
So my choice of tech could actually reflect my values and how I respond to these kinds of messages.
Interesting. Were there any other patterns they noticed?
Yes. Location played a role as well.
Okay.
The nudge seemed to resonate better in certain regions,
Okay.
possibly due to cultural differences or variations in environmental awareness.
Okay.
For example, the study showed that people in certain urban areas were more responsive to the environmental message compared to those in more rural communities.
It seems like the effectiveness of the nudge depends heavily on individual characteristics and even where someone lives.
It does.
So blasting everyone with the same green nudge isn't necessarily the best approach, right?
Exactly. A one-size-fits-all approach won't be as effective.
Right.
This is where smart green nudging comes in.
Okay.
By using this causal machine learning model, retailers can personalize the nudge and target it specifically to those customers who are statistically more likely to respond positively. It's like tailoring the message to the individual to maximize the impact. It sounds a lot like those targeted ads we see online, but instead of trying to sell us something, it's encouraging us to make more sustainable choices.
That's a great analogy. It's about using data not just for marketing products, but for promoting responsible behavior.
Right.
And the potential is huge. The researchers estimate that this personalized approach could double the reduction in returns compared to simply nudging everyone.
Double the impact. Think about the positive ripple effect that could have both for businesses and the environment.
Yeah.
Imagine millions more in savings for retailers, a significant reduction in carbon emissions, and a shift towards more conscious consumption, all without forcing anyone to change their behavior.
It really is a win-win for everyone involved. It demonstrates that businesses can prioritize sustainability while also improving their bottom line.
It's proof that better marketing for a better world isn't just a catchy slogan. It's a strategy that can deliver tangible results.
Absolutely. This research is a perfect example of that. It's exciting to see how behavioral science and data analysis can be combined to tackle complex issues like sustainability. It gives me hope that we can find creative solutions that benefit both people and the planet.
And now, as we wrap up our deep dive, we have one final question for you, our listeners.
Okay.
Knowing what you now know about green nudging and the impact of our online shopping choices, how would you approach things differently? Would you be more likely to pause and consider the impact of hitting that return button? Would you be more receptive to a gentle nudge encouraging you to think twice?
That's a great question for everyone to consider. It's about becoming more mindful of our own actions and recognizing that even small choices can collectively make a difference.
We encourage you to explore the research we've linked in the show notes and share your thoughts with us on social media. We'd love to hear your perspectives and continue the conversation. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
It's really amazing to think that something so simple, like a, well-placed message, could have such a, significant impact on both business practices and individual behavior.
Absolutely. And the research we've discussed today really highlights the power of understanding the psychology behind our choices.
Right.
It's not about manipulation.
Right.
It's about using insights to kind of guide us towards, better decisions.
It feels like a much more elegant solution, compared to some of the more forceful approaches out there.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can, leverage data to personalize these nudges,
Right.
making them even more effective, is really exciting.
I agree. The potential of smart green nudging extends far beyond just reducing returns.
Right.
Imagine the possibilities if this kind of targeted approach was applied to other areas of sustainability. Now you're talking. Imagine getting personalized nudges, encouraging you to recycle more,
Right.
conserve energy, choose eco-friendly products. The possibilities are endless.
It could revolutionize the way we approach sustainable living,
Yeah.
making it easier and more intuitive for people to make choices that benefit both themselves and the planet.
It's like we're moving away from these clunky one-size-fits-all solutions
Right.
and embracing a more personalized and effective way to drive positive change.
Precisely. And that's what makes this research so compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just about reducing returns.
Right.
It's about demonstrating the power of combining behavioral science with data-driven insights to create a more sustainable future.
Well said. It really feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of green nudging,
Okay.
we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Knowing what you now know, how would you approach online shopping differently? Would a green nudge make you think twice about hitting that return button?
It's a question worth considering. We all have a role to play in building a more sustainable future, and sometimes even the smallest actions can make a difference.
We've linked the research we discussed in the show notes. We encourage you to explore it further and share your thoughts with us on social media. We'd love to hear your perspective.
And until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Happy learning.